High noon, Jones and Keefe here on WEEI. It is a Celtics Wednesday, which means it's time for Pure Hoops with Turp. Fun win, Turp, last night for the Celtics. Overtime over my New York Knicks.
That it was. Who said March basketball in the NBA can't be fun?
April.
Oh, yeah, it's right.
Come on,
it's April
Turp.
now.
Get with
I'm
the
all over
times.
the place.
April 9th.
April now. You're right.
Jesus,
Wow.
Turp. A week
How
and a
dare
half
I
into
forget?
April.
April.
Whoever said that about March is probably still right.
Yeah, all right, fine. Even more so. April. Regular season.
April
basketball.
hoops. It was great. Yeah, the Knicks, really dumb of the Knicks not to foul in that situation, but great play by Tatum. And then, Porzingis in overtime.
I mean, I'm of the belief every time you're up 3, just foul.
Yes.
It's not ethical hoops per se, and you know how
Is it
I
pure?
am. But it's not, I guess it is pure. Do whatever it takes to win. It's not ethical, I guess. People, that's really a riveting debate. Like, people do not like the fouling up 3.
And
I just think it makes so much sense.
How much
It
time
does.
was left again? Like, when did they inbound?
11 seconds.
So you can't do it.
11.2.
You can't foul with like 11 seconds left. I agree with that.
No, but they had the whole length of the court to go. You
Right.
could have gotten that down to 5 or 6 and fouled.
By the time Tatum shot, there was way
And
less time.
Tatum,
on the
like, at
clock.
one point, has like his back to the bat. Like, there's plenty of opportunities to foul him.
I was saying, just because you're up 3 doesn't mean you
yeah.
automatically foul on like the inbound. You got to play the clock a little bit. But by the time Tatum was shooting, you had opportunities to foul. They absolutely should have fouled.
I like that Joe
Tatum just
let
missed
him
the free
go.
throw.
Like, they had the double bigs on the floor, and it would have given them a chance to obviously set their defense. And I think it was so chaotic in there that they didn't even consider fouling up 3. Like, they just started pushing up the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they called the timeout, it's also easier to foul on the inbound pass, like, without getting someone in the act of shooting. So it was a good call by Joe to let them go. I mean, with the double bigs, I think it threw them off too, because I think New York was thinking they were going to get shooters on the floor because they had the 2 centers. They were down by 3. So that was heads up by Joe.
I've been waiting because Turp is a Porzingis guy.
Sure am.
Sure.
And so they need him to win. Turp has been he's been needling me sometimes when Porzingis comes in after these big games. Is that a game where it proves how valuable he is and how much they need him to win a title?
So this is a number that I crunched this morning, which is absolutely wild. The guy's 7'3", and the average distance of his made threes last night was 27.75 feet. Just for reference, the deepest part of the 3-point line in the NBA is 23 feet 9 inches.
And
this guy's just banging them.
Has he ever
all
been?
over.
Has he been asked about that? Is it?
He was last night.
Well, I was going to
Okay.
say, I heard Mego talking about this today, and I didn't realize this because if you remember, Keefe, early on in the year, I was very critical. I'm like, take a step up.
Yeah, get a little bit closer.
Why are you shooting from that far away?
He always does.
His answer, if I'm paraphrasing, if I heard Mego right, he's basically like, my efficiency doesn't drop at all when I shoot from back there versus at the line, so I might as well give us more spacing, right?
Yeah, before he got to Boston, right after Washington, he looked at it. They experimented it with his trainer, and the efficiency really didn't drop off. And he just said he's more comfortable shooting from further out, which if you're the Celtics, you take that. Already an elite floor spacing team, and then you got your 7'3" center standing 30 feet away from the rim.
And you don't have to worry about your tootsies. Your tootsies can be on the line. Next thing you know, you hit that shot. It's 2.
I mean, he doesn't fit in the corner. He hit one last night, but
right.
last
Yeah.
year he was always on the line taking these corner threes. He seems to figure out how to fit over there a little bit more, but I mean, that's a weapon for them. And he's also shooting a team best and career high 41.6% from 3. Like, that guy is shooting a team full of 3-point shooters. Granted, his volume's a little bit less, or I mean, a couple hundred in some of the cases with like Tatum and those guys, but he's still taking over 200 shots from 3, and he's shooting 41.6%. Like, that's terrifying. He's in the top 10 points per possession in the post, and then he's shooting the lights out from 3. So he's all the part of the unicorn, and we saw that last night.
Fun win, obviously. They sweep the season series with the Knicks. However, Jaylen Brown doesn't play the fourth quarter, doesn't play overtime. When he did play, didn't look great. 22 minutes, and we know his knee is hurting him. So Jones and I are both fairly concerned on Brown. Where are you at with Jaylen Brown?
You can't watch last night and not have any sort of concern, right? He didn't play in the fourth quarter and overtime in a game where Tatum played a season high in minutes. Derek White and Drew Holiday both played their top 3 in minutes. Kristaps Porzingis was also at a season high in minutes. Like, this is a game they were going out. Like, maybe they cared about winning, like they always care about winning. So maybe they were going out to just go for the season sweep, though they said that didn't really matter. Or maybe it was, this is a good opportunity to get these guys late game execution reps, because those probably aren't going to happen against Charlotte, and you don't want to put anything on tape against Orlando because you could see them in the first round. So for him not to be on the floor is a little concerning. And I was actually looking at this morning. He hasn't played over 30 minutes since the Oklahoma City game. He averaged 36 minutes per game in the playoffs last year. I mean, he's come close a couple times. He has a 28 and 29, and he was on a 30-minute restriction. But in his last two have been 21 minutes. Those are both season lows.
I feel like I shouldn't have to ask, but it's clear what they're doing, right? They're just getting him over minimum thresholds to get him to 65 games. The minimum threshold last night was 20 minutes. He played 22. You told me in the last 2 games of the year it's only 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Well, so the NBA has this thing. Part of that threshold is you get 2 near miss games. So you can play over 15 but less than 20.
So you only get those all year long?
You only get those 2 for the entire year. So Jaylen hasn't used his.
It's not like a tapering thing at the end of the year. Got it.
No,
so
no.
I didn't realize that
I didn't even know
today.
the 20-minute thing until today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and
so Jaylen's season low is 21, so he has 2 games that he can play at 15 and under 20, and it will still
What
count.
a convoluted thing. Sitting down and coming up with this. Like, first of all, why it has to be 65 games instead of 60 or 70. It's 65. And then the minutes thing is crazier on top of it, because I feel like you're only penalizing yourself if you play 1 minute. That's going to crush some of your overall averages and things like that.
I mean, he's doing that naturally right now. Actually, his averages were up in the last 6 games before last night since coming back from the 3-game absence. His shooting numbers were actually up a little bit.
But it's clear what they're doing, right? They're just playing him to get to these minimum thresholds so he can try to make All-NBA. You agree with that?
I think the comments last night might have revealed a little bit more, too, where Joe's like, we got what we needed out of him. I mean, he was terrible.
Not
6 points
not performance-wise, he didn't.
2 of 7, whatever it was. Like, not a great shooting night. Kristaps was pretty much pleading for him to sit down for a little bit. So I think that was a little revealing.
You heard Keefe's All-NBA, kind of power rankings earlier. He doesn't think Jaylen Brown will make All-NBA.
I brought my own.
Yes.
Nice. Here we go.
Let's see how much overlap we
So
have.
LeBron's won. I know that.
On the second team, believe it or not.
Okay.
All right,
Oh, good for you.
First team.
Good for you.
First team, and I think this is pretty much unanimous through a lot of people. SGA, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell.
So I love Mitchell. I went Cade Cunningham, but either way, I would have Mitchell the next guy down.
All those guys are no-brainers.
Yep. Second team, LeBron, Curry, Cade, Şengün, Mobley.
Okay.
Ooh, I didn't even have Mobley, but another good one.
And third team, Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Karl Anthony Towns, Jaren Jackson Jr. So that's 15 guys alone. And then if Kevin Durant gets in, you know he's going to.
I didn't even have
he
to.
reaches
you might
threshold.
He might not even be 4th team All NBA.
Well, that's the thing. Is
but for real.
So what the hell are they doing?
I don't know.
He might not even make All NBA.
Yeah.
He's not healthy. They're
in the
playing
voters'
him for
hands,
it.
he's saying.
Like what? Why are they even doing it?
So we just named 15 guys, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Sabonis has a case. Jalen Williams, J-Dub from Oklahoma City, he's got a case. Draymond is a heavy favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, I don't pick him.
I wouldn't go
if he's,
that
a Defensive Player of the
Did
Year,
you mention
like,
James
there's
Harden?
some
Did you mention
James Harden on there,
Trae Young,
and Devin Booker. I don't know about Trae Young, but I mean,
I don't know about Booker, but like Durant, like
But regardless, that's 20 people that we just named that he's kind of staring up at. And I get it. Like, we've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. Like, he's a prideful guy and he wants to go out and try to do this. But when you're looking at it, like, there really hasn't been. But
it's different when you're hurt. So, like, say it was, he missed a handful of games during the year and it was coming down to the last 2, and they were going to sit all their starters anyway. But he needed 1 game to play 15 minutes in order to get All NBA. Go for it. Like, do it. I do think All NBA matters for these guys and for their legacies and for everything else. But when you're noticeably hobbled, you're talking about how painful it is, and then you're
doing it for weeks.
You're doing it for weeks. Like, it's not getting any better. So
if these are playoff games, I'd be like, Jaylen, go for it. Good for you. It'd be like McHale and Celtic City, which we can get to. It's like, good for you.
Yes.
Like that, I give you a lot of credit.
This
They're
is
playoff games.
This ain't it.
These are meaningless games.
Also, because of where you're at, what we're talking about. Like, so say Jason Tatum had the similar season, but just had fewer games.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, you grind through 2 more at 15 minutes, you're automatically keeping your first team All NBA streak alive, which is a lot different than like popping off a random 3rd team All NBA maybe.
If you even make it.
Maybe like a big maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is if this was purely a pain management thing, which he has been emphasizing the entire time, that he's trying to learn and play through this, figure out what his body can do and how he can play. He's readjusting his game, watching Paul Pierce tape. If that was the case, he would have been out there last night, right? Like, his minute restriction's 30. It's not 21. That's been
you mean like
here.
down the stretch when the game matters? He would be out there, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're telling you all they need to know. If you're sticking your fingers in your ears and ignoring it, well, then fine. Not to say you're doing that, Turp, but some Celtics fans who all we hear from, Keefe, well, how are they not going to win? Health. How are they not going to win? Well, if somebody's hurt. I mean, if Jaylen Brown's not 100%,
hurt.
Yeah, if Jaylen Brown's not 100%, you think they need Porzingis? You already think they need Porzingis to win, so I should know the answer to this. If Jaylen Brown's not 100%, can they win a title?
It's going to be a lot tougher. I mean, I think they're so talented that they can afford to lose a starter. Like, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but like to get to the NBA Finals, no, like even Porzingis, like they can.
So they don't need Porzingis.
See, that's the thing.
No,
they
he's boxing a
they
corner.
need all their guys. They need all their guys
To win.
But it depends
Lash
on who
out
they're
like
playing,
Harambe.
too. It depends on who they're playing too. Like I think they can get through the Eastern Conference Finals without a starter. Like I really do think that.
How about
that's
to win the
much better.
title?
If they are going to win the title, they're going to need Kristaps and Jaylen to be at full strength, especially if it's Oklahoma City. So again, I'm with you. Like you were saying earlier. Like the whole concern all year long was health. Like they have to be healthy going to the postseason.
I mean, the first 2 rounds, they could be out 2 starters.
They can
and win.
And I think they
sweep
could still
it.
beat
Jaylen
Cleveland
could-
without one.
Jaylen could kick his feet up for the first round for sure,
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah.
sweep the Hawks.
Yes.
They won't lose a game without Jaylen. But, Cleveland, maybe it matters. Definitely OKC, it matters.
Yeah.
Like, eventually,
But
that's
again,
going to
a lot
matter.
has to go right for them to see Oklahoma City. That Western Conference is a gauntlet. I know coaches
it?
are
I'm
dropping
down
left and
on it.
right
I don't
over
think
there.
it- I don't think it is anymore.
I'm kind of down on the Western
It's going to be
Conference.
tough to get out of the West.
OKC
The
and
Rockets are the 2 seed.
OKC and the Thunder. That's it. I'm sorry. OKC and the Lakers.
and the
rather.
Thunder. No, that's how I view it. OKC and the Thunder. That's
OKC
it.
and the Lakers. That's it. That's the West now. I don't fear anybody else in the
No,
West.
I don't. I definitely don't. I mean, I just think the Jokic thing or the Malone thing is like the timing of that is pretty wild. I still respect him as the best player in the NBA, and so anytime you're in a series and you don't have the best player, that's something to look at. But what are they doing? Like how on the same page? Plus, they have Russell Westbrook, which can't help them.
Yeah, and to me, coaching, as has been proven, is largely irrelevant in the NBA. So I don't mean to apply it just to Malone and be like, they lost Malone, they're screwed.
But just
that,
like
that just speaks to mass turmoil throughout the organization where I don't fear them anymore. What do you think's going on with Malone?
Well, there seems to be a very big disconnect between him and the general manager, which is why they fired both. And it seems like there was kind of a split in the locker room where you were either a Calvin Booth guy or you were a Mike Malone guy. But to fire
Like a
guy,
Joe Milton and a Drake May.
Yes,
guy.
kind of.
Same idea.
Right. Well,
Interesting.
but one guy won that. This was what was strange
Nobody-
about this decision was they were like, "Oh, you guys like him and you like him. They're all gone.
they're all losers.
Yeah,
He's
right.
the winningest coach in franchise history. He has the most playoff wins in franchise history, and they just won a title 2 years ago. And it's not like they're in a bad spot. I know they've been slipping
They're
a little
tied
bit,
for the
but
4th seed.
still
They're one
tied
game
for
out of the
4th seed.
3 seed. Like they're a surefire playoff team again.
And he's the only coach Nikola Jokic has ever had in the NBA.
Yeah.
So how is he going to respond to that? And
Unless
he
he
was hot
turned
the
on
other
him?
day on the bench. Did you see that?
Oh, he was.
Oh, he was hot the other day. He was yelling. The cameras caught him yelling on the bench. But I mean,
Interesting.
It's just interesting to fire a coach that soon.
Right now, we were just making fun of the Grizzlies, and they have like the same record, I think, as the Nuggets.
I
And
mean,
you're like-
one was kind of like what's going on here, and then there's
Yeah.
2, and it's a guy who's again 2 years removed from a championship.
Right. I would say Mike Malone, I thought would have been a lot safer than Taylor Jenkins, but I thought they'd both at least make it through the year. Never even considered Malone.
No, me neither. I'd never even crossed my mind. I mean, not that Jenkins did, but yeah, definitely not Malone. I would have thought he was safe, not even in trouble. Between the trade deadline, where and Turp, I don't know if you were in with us. I'd imagine you were. We all kind of had a similar takeaway. Well, the league fears the Celtics. Look at part of why Dallas is moving on from Luka. They're like, well, we can't compete with them anyway. And I kind of wonder if there's a similar thing going on with the coaches. Like outside of OKC and I guess the Lakers, Cleveland, you see teams constantly paring down, blowing it up, moving on from coaches. Like, do teams now view the Celtics in that way where they're like, we're not beating them anyways, so we might as well get it right with our coach?
I find it hard to believe that Denver was looking at that way, and same with Memphis, because they're focused on getting through their own conference. Like I don't necessarily think they're.
But could they look at it the way you said, where it's already a gauntlet if we even get out of it?
They could, yes.
And then if we even get there, it's the Celtics at the end. Fire them now.
Yeah, no, I mean you could be looking at it that way, but I think you're more so looking at your own conference and
Or it's
getting
just
to the finals.
or it just might be like the infighting. Remember after Jenkins got fired, there was the game where was it Desmond Bain and I forget who the other guy was. They were like screaming at each other on the bench. Ja Morant was like not interested. Like wasn't even listening to Jenkins.
Morant didn't play in a bunch of those games before they fired.
Oh yeah,
and then he was
immediately
miraculously
played.
back.
Right.
Right. So there might be that.
And Malone, this video was going around last night. Malone was calling out guys for like not watching tape or something like that. I saw the video making the rounds last night where Malone's like, we have to show them the tape because these guys don't watch their own tape. He like called out all
He's
the
a
players,
hard ass.
and then he got fired. He is.
Remember when he was like, wasn't he like berating a reporter that called him Mike?
Yeah, that sounds
He's like, my
right.
name's
He only likes
Michael or Coach Malone. You're like, all right, relax. Like, calm down. It's not that serious, but
And he was there for 10 years.
Yeah.
He was.
And
That was
had a
surprising.
lot of success. That was really bizarre.
Yeah.
And maybe they are looking at it like we're in the West Conference already pretty tough. Like it's going to be tough to get out of here, and then you got Boston waiting. So maybe they are looking at it like that.
Yeah.
But it's still regardless. It's head scratching.
Yeah, it's surprising for sure. High Noon with Turp, or Pure Hoops with Turp, rather, at High Noon every week. I thought Celtic City, we were talking about this earlier in Would You Rather, I think Celtic City has borderline gotten better with every single episode.
Fantastic.
The last 3 have been great, in all honesty. What'd you, I know you've seen it. What jumped out to you about this week's episode?
I'm with you. I really liked how they explained the kind of the end of that legendary 80s run. Like, you don't really hear much about that. There's kind of like a dark period there that you don't really hear much about, which I like that they went into depth about that. And it's kind of crazy just how everyone like just ended at the same time. They all just deteriorated at the same time. It was pretty crazy for that to happen. And no, I'm with you. I think it's gotten better every episode, and I think part of that is you can relate to it a little bit more, which is part of it.
Right.
But it's been good.
I love it. I love the last couple episodes, and this one, and because this wasn't even really my time. I mean, I was born in '84, so like my memory of Larry Bird was legit him laying on the ground all the time. And people telling me how good he was. I remember that. I remember him on the side. And then I remember after he retired,
Larry Bird Night,
he was on the Dream Team.
Okay.
I remember that a big deal. And, because Magic's career kind of carried on a little bit longer. And then obviously the HIV thing and like all that. But I remember Magic playing. But Bird, I really don't remember playing that much.
I legit, one of the only things I remember, probably because my dad sat me down to watch it, was Larry Bird Night. I don't really even remember him as a player. So, like, obviously you see the old games on NBA TV or on, like, old Celtics DVDs. Billy was talking about, like, championship DVDs.
Yeah.
They have these games. I've watched the whole Dominique Bird game, right, that they were going on and on about. So I've seen him as a player, but I don't have much recollection. And, yeah, I feel like the downfall of the Bird Celtics was undertold. The bias story has been told.
Yes.
And I'm not saying they should have ignored it, but I have heard that. Some of the other stuff I thought was worth diving into. So I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a great episode. This is one of those, the game was better then, like the old man argument. But you will never, ever get back to the point where the rivalries were as intense as they are. And it's just the nature of it. We've talked about it a bunch. Like AAU, all these kids know each other since they were 10. They're all making $100 million. They're all like buds. Few rivalries.
Right.
So
Tatum was in like Draymond's wedding, for God's sake.
Exactly. Right. So you hate him, right? Like actually we're best buds.
No,
so
we really like him.
So all the guys, like there's still rivalry. Like fans want there to be. I mean, look at the Draymond chants and everything else. But going from in a 8-year span, Larry Bird versus Dr. J, and just hating the Sixers with a passion, hating the Sixers. Then the whole Laker run, they didn't play each other as many times as they probably should have, because it would be like one would be there, one wouldn't be, and whatever. And then the Pistons at the end, so like, even the Pacers, I remember as a kid having an Upper Deck card where they did rivals, and it was Larry Bird and Chuck Person. And it was like the two of them on there from like their 91 playoff series. But it was like a blood feud with like the Detroit Pistons for 2-3 years. They hated them. And then when you get, I love like James Worthy in this. James Worthy's
been great.
Still hates the Celtics with a passion. And you'll just never have that. Like if they 20 years from now do a documentary, Tatum will be like, yeah, my first title, we beat my best friend Kyrie Irving in the finals. And we hugged and kissed after the game. And like, we love each other. And you're like, oh.
That was even with Bird and Parrish, like talking about the Pistons. They still hate them. Also, and was that Bird Lambeer fight, was that the first ejection like in NBA history?
I was going to say, those guys usually stay in the games. That's a good point.
Man, that was the first ejection we've seen.
I've seen that highlight before, but it's been a while since I've seen it. Bird hummed that thing at him.
Oh, Bird got him good with the ball.
With the ball after.
After Parrish got him good, too.
After the whole fracas, Bird just fired that thing in at him.
I love this stuff. And when he's like, Bill Lambier elbows me in the chest. I go, okay, don't say anything. Elbows me in the throat. I say, hey, knock it off. Bill calls me an MFer and tells me to go F myself. So then he got him. And then Tommy Heinsohn's just like on the call. He's like, yeah, he wasn't having it anymore. He punched him 4 times in the face.
Heinsohn on those national broadcasts was just embarrassing.
And then like Johnny Most like screaming about how awful the Pistons are.
Even worse, but at least that was a local broadcast.
Yeah, good point.
No, I think, watching that, it is interesting to watch.
Imagine being on the air during the Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird press conference about his comments. How stupid was that?
That was dumb. I do love how they're like, he's got a finals to get ready for. It's like, I know we talked about.
He's up there cracking jokes.
Yeah, Bird was wildly entertaining.
I'm going to leave. He's like, I'm done with this.
That was Isaiah pretending that it was a joke, too, is embarrassing. So I don't know, Turp, you're younger than we are. I don't know how much you remember or how much you were aware of, but like what beyond just covering that era, what did you like about it?
I mean, that whole press conference thing was fascinating to me.
Why
like,
they
I
had to
didn't
do
really
that.
know about that. Obviously, I'm a lot younger, so I don't really remember this, but that was wild. That's not necessarily a brag, but yeah. I mean,
so young.
So much younger than you
so
guys.
much younger. No,
so much
but
more virile.
It was
Speak for yourself.
That was wild.
Yeah, no, it was. I also, and I would have hated him at the time. I would have hated every single Piston. I kind of think Isaiah Thomas might be one of the more underrated players of all time because a lot of guys in the league hated him. Hated him. They kept him off the freaking dream team, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But for him to pop off 2 titles at a time where like Bird and Magic were just coming to an end and Jordan was just getting started, like somebody had to do it, and they went head-to-head with the Lakers, they went head-to-head with the Celtics, they then went head-to-head with the Bulls, and they won back-to-back titles.
They beat the Lakers.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So they beat the Celtics. They beat the Lakers. They obviously knocked off the Bulls.
Yeah. They were nasty. And he was nasty. It was a Klosterman that had the point.
Yes.
You're talking about like he was sort of like
Chuck Klosterman, who you're like, what the hell is he even doing in this other than he's Bill Simmons' buddy?
Yeah.
But he did have the good line about Isaiah.
But Isaiah basically being like the crime boss and like leading those guys. So you had like Lambeer, Rodman, Sally, Mahorn.
He's like, they were his henchmen.
Right.
And he was the crime boss.
And then Isaiah just pulling all the strings, and they did what he said. Like, oh, that's so cool.
We also thought that Bird team was going to win every year. Like, I'm sitting there watching it, and you know they already won their last championship.
Yeah, if you listen to people around here, they did win every year. They actually lost to the Lakers, similar to Brady. Brady lost to Manning more than he beat him in the playoffs. They actually lost to the Lakers
by the end.
more. Yeah, but that counts.
You count the Broncos.
Yeah, well, does that not count?
No,
you don't. You don't count,
don't count the Broncos.
bubble championships or when guys move teams. You don't count those.
You know what was also funny? Well, I definitely don't count the bubble champ. But you know what was funny is my wife was watching part of it when I had it on in there, and she was like, at the end, you have like Larry Bird just like dragging, right? The last like 4 seasons, he's just like dragging. She's like, oh my God. Like, how old was he? I'm like, well,
32.
He was like, yeah. He's like, I think his last year he actually was 35,
okay.
But I'm like, 30 then is like 40 now. Like you see LeBron. I mean, LeBron's a freak, sort of a different story. But again, they're both top 10 players of all time.
Go Turp. Yeah,
it's him.
No, but like look at these guys.
Yeah,
but like Durant's super old.
Yeah,
like guys just they're in different shape, and then they also really get into how Larry Bird played like a maniac.
Yeah,
didn't play like he was a top 10 player. He's playing like Marcus Smart. He's like diving on the floor. Like, dude, you don't need to do this. Yeah.
Of him diving into the tables.
Hits. So I'm like, that was a hard 33 or whatever it was by the end of his career.
Yeah. All right. Well, Turp, good stuff. As always, we appreciate you popping in on a high noon every Wednesday, Celtics Wednesday. It's Pure Hoops with Turp. Make sure you check out his work, weei.com, and on Twitter at Justin M. Turpin. Thanks, Turp.
All right, guys.